Welcome to episode 44 of the Fly Route Podcast. I am your host, Anthony, aka Tony Playboy, aka Drafting Ball Z. And I am joined here by a great friend of mine, Erik. Y'all might have heard of him, aka Erik from Zone 6.
Actually, it's Erik from Zone 4. Don't put me in Zone 6. I got people looking for me in Zone 6.
Erik is relocated. The block was hot.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Speaking of people from Atlanta, man, how do you feel about Young Hoku getting his whole Jeep jacked?
Look, let me explain to you right now. First off, y'all niggas, you individuals have affronted one of our great citizens in Young Ho. Young Ho is true ATL. Y'all need to give him his Jeep back, bring him his cleats back. Y'all can't kick it like him. You probably can't even drive it like him. Just bring the man Jeep back. Do what you normally do. Go get you a base model Charger and put like the word sport on it or something. I don't know. Y'all love base model Chargers because y'all basic.
Oh, man. Does he keep all his cleats in the car?
I think that's how football players roll. They just keep that kind of equipment in the car because you don't want it funking up the house. So why wouldn't you just keep it in the car?
Like all of his cleats? He's like, I ain't got no cleats to kick with. And I was like, what?
Okay, well, how many pair of cleats does he need to kick with? Is a better question. I have no idea this answer.
It made it sound like he had like 8 pairs of cleats in the car and they took them all.
What you gonna do with a kick? Okay, sure. Like you, if you've been to Atlanta, y'all playing flag football on the street. Who gonna wear his cleats on the street? Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all just put holes in the ground. Oh my God.
Look, we have an exciting show for you all today. We are going to get into our NBA mock draft. The draft is a little bit under a week out by the time you all hear this. We're going to let you know what we are thinking about all of the picks and give you the first round. And we're going to give you the fly route for Damian Lillard. Maybe he did not request the trade. Maybe he did. But we all kind of see the writing on the wall. And his time in Portland seems to be coming towards an end.
Apparently, he's going to the Lakers.
That is not happening. We are going to get into the NFC South and give you our predictions for all of those teams and who we think the division winner is going to be. And last but not least, we are going to give a big ballers bouquet to Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh.
All right, we are going to get into our 2021 NBA mock draft. I have Erik here. He's going to have the even picks. I am going to have the odd picks, and we are going to let you know how we think things might shake out. So number 1, least interesting pick of the draft, most interesting player of the draft. Everyone knows who is going to be. It is undeniable. It is going to be Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State University. Look. This dude is undeniably head and shoulders over all of the other players as far as prospects go right now. Do you disagree?
I don't think he's head and shoulders over Mobley from USC. NBA does love bigs that are versatile, that can, space the floor and do a little bit of everything. I think it was, on the Ringer or someplace where they were like, he might come to the NBA and like average a triple-double or have the capacity to average triple-double. So I think that there may be some talk, but ultimately, since Cade Cunningham isn't going to fall to the Hawks, I guess we'll let him go to the Pistons.
Yeah, it seems like Cade Cunningham has the ability to be a strong two-way player, a great defender, a great scorer, ability to pass and get all of the other players on the court available. He's going to go to the Pistons. So I don't really know how well that works out, but
Jeremy Grant, give him credit. Look, got an Olympian.
Look, that Olympic squad is dealing with a lot of problems right now. Let's move on to the second pick.
Yeah, that wasn't a great idea, actually. Yeah.
Let's move on to the second pick. You got Houston. Who are you taking?
Look, this is a tough pick. I thought really hard about this. I thought it was going to be Jalen Green by a landslide, and then I started looking at Evan Mobley, and I thought the fit of Mobley next to Christian Woods might be interesting, but I also thought it might be a little bit too much of overlap. I think Green can probably score at an elite level, and he may have more upside than anybody in the draft. I think he has the athleticism, the perimeter shooting. He's got the Zach LaVine hops, which, will make for the nightly highlights. If I'm the Houston Rockets, I'm taking Justin Green.
Jalen Green?
Jalen Green, sorry.
So at the third pick, I feel like the draft is shaking out pretty the way everybody sees it. And I feel like, unfortunately for the Cavs, they need to take Evan Mobley just because he's the best player available on the board at that time. Even though it feels kind of weird seeing as they have Jared Allen and there is going to be a lot of conflict and overlap there. It's just, you are right. He's extremely versatile. He has the ability to score on multiple levels. It is too good to pass up this high in the draft. I think that with all the Colin Sexton rumors, they were hoping that Jalen Green would fall to them and they would be able to take him and maybe move off from Colin Sexton and get something back for their wings. But I think that's where Cleveland ends up being if Jalen goes second.
Yeah, if they can't move Sexton, then Mobley's the pick. It makes too much sense. I think Shaq's going to hate him because he's a big that doesn't play with post moves. But I think I'm next at number 4. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, this one's easy. You're looking at Kyle Lowry leaving probably in free agency. Toronto Raptors need to restock and add a secondary ball handler and a guy that can create for other guys as well on that team. This is easy. I'll take Jalen Suggs, guard from Gonzaga. Too easy, too talented, too young. Fits real nice with that team. I think that's an excellent pick if they get Suggs at 4.
Okay, that makes sense. I feel like at that point you got Orlando. Orlando's in a pretty good space right now, being at the 5th spot. They take Scotty Barnes, forward from Florida State University. Orlando has, I think that's where it's at. Orlando has a plethora of guards already. They have Cole Anthony. They have Markelle Fultz. They have a center. They got another one from the Bulls in a trade. I think they need to fix or figure out what they have going on the wings. Scotty Barnes can play small forward. Him next to Jonathan Isaacs actually can be a defensive unit for that team. And I think he has the ability to play from playoff screens, set really good ones. He played point guard in college, so he can definitely pass and keep the ball moving around, which is something you want to do with a team as young as Orlando is going to be. I think it's going to be hard to beat the value that they can get from Scotty Barnes at 5.
Oh, I don't really like you right now because I had Scotty going 6.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's what makes it interesting.
It doesn't make it interesting because it makes my life harder because now I need to pick between 2 players. One player I really like, and then there's one player I just think they're going to take because he's young and more talented. I'm going to take Jonathan. I say the name wrong. Kuminga.
Okay.
Kuminga. I'm going with the athleticism, the sort of ball handling, the sort of scoring threat. I thought really hard. I think you're going to take him next at Golden State at number 7. But there's a guard from Baylor that I also love to death. And I thought about putting him in OKC. It is. I love that guy. But I'm going to take the wing and the guy that can, if he gets a jump shot, may remind some people of Kevin Durant. So, yeah, I'll take Kuminga.
There's nobody in this draft that you should be may remind people of Kevin Durant.
I put my hand over my mouth for a reason, man. We're in COVID. I was social distancing that hot take. Come on.
Look, okay, so at 7, Davion Mitchell seems to be a high opportunity pick for the Golden State Warriors. I, however, believe that you might be able to get Davion Mitchell later on in the draft, and Golden State also picks again at 14.
They do?
Yes. They have two lottery picks. So my personal opinion with this pick is that Golden State needs to trade this pick. They need to trade this pick and try to build a package for a player that is more.
We're doing trades? I didn't was prepared for the trades.
We are not. It's just like personal opinion. They should trade this pick. But if you ask me what I think that they should do, and I think it's going to shock a lot of people, but I think they should actually take Alperen Sengun. And that is the Turkish player in the draft.
Yes, I know who it is.
Yeah, you think that's high, right? And I think that's actually where they should go. I think it bolsters their front court rotation. He's too small to really be a center in the NBA. So he's probably more of a 4 guy. And this is going to be unpopular, but I think he is probably one of the more NBA ready prospects in the league, being a person that played professionally overseas in the 3rd best league in the world and won Turkish MVP at 18. And Golden State is not ready for a project.
I have a question.
Yes.
Klay Thompson is out for the first half of the season. Does that change? And you know that now. Does it change your pick?
If I knew Klay Thompson would be out for the first half of the season, I understand the pressure to then pick Davion Mitchell in that situation, because you're like, you need to play somebody next to Steph. But if your idea is we need to win a championship, right? Davion Mitchell is going to be mostly a bench rotation person. And once Klay is back. So I also think that if you can at 14, that's where you would take Davion Mitchell, because outside of maybe Indy at 13, the next teams from 8 to 13 need no guards.
No, I think your calculation about Mitchell maybe falling might be correct. If he doesn't go to Golden State, it's a bit of a struggle to think where he goes. So I'm sort of with you there, but I had him going at with San Antonio. So okay, that's fine.
Oh, okay. You would take him at the 12th pick?
I had him at 12 with San Antonio because it feels like a San Antonio pick.
Oh, Alperen Sengun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, it is very San Antonio to pick the guy from Europe that's really talented and other people are sleeping on him and then watch him blow up. Hella San Antonio thing to do, right? Yes. I think that people like him are going to start going higher in the draft than they are before, after we start seeing people like Luka, like Jokic, etc. Like especially Jokic being like a 2nd round pick. Like these guys that were really, really good in super competitive international leagues are probably going to start inching higher and higher into the draft, because people are getting a lot of FOMO from missing out on those type of players.
Hashtag copycat league. All right.
Yes. Hey, that's the facts.
I'm going with a player that reminds me of a guy that's currently playing on the Hawks. Maybe the most consistent offensive player we had next to Trae Young. He reminds me a lot of Danilo Gallinari. I'm going with Franz Wagner. Forward, Orlando Magic. They need shooting. They need shooting in the worst way. And if there's one thing he can do is shoot. Put him out there, let him stretch the floor, spacing. He gives them all that. He may not look like, quote unquote, a lottery pick, but he fits what Orlando needs. If Orlando is bad, and let me say this right now, Orlando, if you are bad, then you probably try to take someone like Keon Johnson, and you're just like, hey, we're not going to have anyone that can shoot, but it would be Orlando, so that makes sense. But I'm running the show, and we're taking Franz Wagner.
That is okay. That kind of puts me in a tough spot, because that was who I definitively had Sacramento wanting to take, is Franz Wagner, because they need to bolster their front court. So at this point, at this point, I'm kind of, at this point, it's a little bit, I want to say, difficult for me to decide who should go here, I think you're kind of right about Keon Johnson being the same prototype of a player for this team. So I think that if they get sniped, they go with Keon Johnson. He's 6'5", like 190. He has a great first step. He's really versatile on both ends of the floor, and he allows them to get a guy that at 6'5", maybe a little small to play the 3, but that's where they would probably like him to be the most, like somewhere where he could switch off with Harrison Barnes in the 3-4 area. You would really think this team wanted to get big, but at this point,
well, if they trade, what's his name? I could see them maybe, but they're not going to get the big that probably everybody wants because you took them as early as you did, but.
And I feel like at that point they end up having to go for a player that they think is going to get them the most value at that spot.
For sure.
Yeah, and there's another guy that I have in mind, but I'm hoping I get to save him for the 11th pick, so I'll let you go at 10.
All right. So at 10, I'm looking at New Orleans, new coach. They've got Zion. Do they bring back Melo? Me and the young gentleman on the screen have had a very interesting debate about Melo. No, sorry, Lonzo. I said Lonzo. They're all the same. We've had the same debate either way. I have sort of hated on all the Ball brothers since they entered the league collectively. These are facts. But that being said, do they bring back Lonzo is an interesting question. What do they need? They need a guy that can shoot. And this is going to be a running theme. Someone that comes into the league that can play right away at a high level and fit a need. I am going with Corey Kispert from Gonzaga, wing to New Orleans.
Okay, that's interesting. I like that pick. If that's where things kind of end up shaking out, I feel like Charlotte gets here and gets a little bit of a steal at Trey Murphy from Virginia.
Really? Wow. Whoa. Okay.
What's up?
No. This is why this draft is so interesting to me. After like the first 5 picks, a lot of this is real interchangeable. And I think you're going to have team players. It's going to be personal preference. So my 19th player might be your 12th player or 10th player. So yeah, no, I'm not knocking it. I'm just, okay. I like that pick. It's interesting.
I like this guy. He's a strong 3-point shooter, which is kind of what you want around. Well, now we're talking Melo, right? Instead of Lonzo, what you kind of want around Melo, you want guys that can play defense. You want guys that can hit spot up threes, and you want guys that can roll to the rim. And Melo's going to set them up and get everybody kind of where they need to be from there. And I think he fits that mold fantastically. He shot over 40% from 3 and took a decent amount of threes. He's a fantastic free throw shooter. He can't really create his own shot, but that's not really what you are actively looking for on Charlotte's roster right now. You have guys that can get their own shot. Hayward can get his own shot. Melo can. Rozier can. You need guys that will play defense, roll to the rim, and kind of be glue. And I think Trey Murphy is a great fit for that.
All right. I need to mark down where I had Murphy.
Did you have him all the way down at 19? Because that's the pick.
I don't think I had him. Yeah. I don't think I have him in like my mock at all.
Oh, wow. I have him being like the 14th, 15th best player in the draft is where I had him. So I think it's a little like if we're just ranking all of them on talent. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we're just ranking them all on talent, he might be a little overdrafted. But if we're talking about what a team needs versus potential, I think Trey Murphy at 11 at Charlotte makes a lot of sense.
I thought you were going to go Jalen Johnson from Duke, to be honest.
Okay.
Just because of the Duke connection, or maybe Josh Giddey. Like I was thinking wing, but I can live with that.
I have Jalen Johnson way further down. Like Jalen Johnson's in my like late 20s, 30s.
Oh, so we who we thought was going to go at that pick, we've got like opposite opinions on. That's interesting. Okay.
Yes.
So I had San Antonio willing to take the big, but you decided to snipe him from me because you're rude. Oh man, that hurts because I don't I think San Antonio wants size, and they need someone that is talented at the big spot. And there are not a lot of bigs I would take. But I'm going for if this guy gets everything, if he wraps it up and he like shows sort of some flashes that he showed at Texas, that it makes sense. I'm taking Kai Jones, big from Texas.
Okay.
I think he can hit the three. I think he can do a little bit of what you wanted from like a Christian Woods type perspective. Stretch the floor, athleticism. I don't know if he's a Popovich type player, but I think that he may be the biggest upside of at least the next set of players that I see that I would really like.
All right. That makes sense. All right. At 13, Indiana, at this point, I think they want to add another guard to that rotation. They have a very strong front court in Miles Turner and, homeboy, Sabonis. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think they go with James Bouknight. And I think that they want someone that can score in bunches. Like TJ Warren looked great in the bubble, but like we don't really know how that's going to translate going forward, etc. They want a guy who's going to be able to score from all levels, be able to cut, be able to be kind of just an effective guy to garner points from especially because they're not trying to repeat last season. And I feel like this dude is definitely a person that can shoot the three. Kind of, I have some concerns about him just holding the ball too long and trying to do too much with the handles, but I don't think he will have a prominent enough role in the offense early to kind of make that an issue. So I think that they would grab James Bouknight at 13.
All right. It has to happen. He's too good of a player to be this far. Devon Mitchell is going to the Pacers. I understand that there may be better fits. I'm sorry. No, where am I at? 13?
14.
Oh, 14. My apologies. Yeah, sorry. I misspoke. The Golden State, they get the player you said would fall to them at 14. It works out well for them. I don't think this will happen in a real world draft. I think he's too talented, but it gives them instant offense off the bench that can, spell Curry and Clay, especially as Clay works his way back from those injuries. So, Devon Mitchell, without question.
Okay. So when we get to 15 in Washington, this also might be unpopular, but I think they go with Usman Garuba, and he's what?
No.
I snipe you again?
No. You just sniped me. I was thinking about him if Devon Mitchell wasn't on the board for Golden State at that spot. Because I thought he was a Draymond clone, but I like that pick. Go ahead.
Yeah, it varies. Yes, same concept. He's a little Draymond-ish in the fact that he is almost consensus the best pure defender in the draft. Mm-hmm. And that defensive intensity is something Washington needs in spades. Right? They got all the scoring in the world. Russ can score, Bradley Beal can score, but they cannot get stops currently. And I think Usman comes in, becomes a big defensive anchor for them and someone that they can rely upon with the experience that he already has. He's not much of a scorer. He's kind of actually anemic as a scorer. But that is, standing next to Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook should not be as much of a problem.
Yes. We're at 16 Oklahoma City?
Yes, indeed.
In my best Skip Bayless voice, the travesty ends now. Jalen Johnson, Oklahoma City.
Okay.
This is top 10 talent. Don't believe anything you heard the fly route said. Believe in greatness. We're taking Jalen Johnson. This is absurd. Athleticism oozing out the wazoo. Can be a playmaker next to a very, very standout guard that they have in OKC. They need talent. At some point, they've got to use these picks to get talent. And if a top 10-ish prospect falls to them, they must pounce on it and not trade him. Hopefully they don't.
Okay, that makes sense. At then 17, if I'm Memphis, I go with Keon Johnson. round out your wing rotation. I think they feel really good about their backcourt with Brooks and Ja going forward. So you round it out with Keon Johnson. Speaking of athleticism, this guy has it. He can move. He's a force straight barreling towards the rim. He can be a good defender, but that's going to take some time to come together. But what's the word I want to use? The tangibles are all there, right? He's about like 6'4", 6'5". He has a long frame. He's not going to be a fantastic shooter, which is going to be a little bit difficult for that team. But I think he gives them a great scorer and a great defender that they will benefit from a lot.
All right. So when I thought about Oklahoma City, because I think I had all their picks, but essentially they need a big. The best available big I see on the board is Isaiah Jackson from Kentucky. Can be a Nerlens Noel defensive presence for them in the middle. They need that kind of big right now. So I'll take the big from Kentucky to be that rim protector that they sort of have been missing in the last few years.
Okay, that puts me at the first New York pick.
How y'all feeling, New York?
Man.
How y'all feeling, New York?
Look, the first New York pick is interesting because I feel like, they're going to take a guard. They need a guard bad, right? And I'm sitting between Josh Giddey and Sharife Cooper. And I feel like they come down in the end to Sharife Cooper because he's going to be a better playmaker and can get them into their sets. I think his feel for the game is just literally fantastic. He's a great ball handler. He's a great passer. He gets people like in their pockets to shoot. And I think that they really, really need somebody that can grow in New York. That's job is going to be to get other people to eat, because right now Derrick Rose is all they got, and Derrick Rose is not even under contract anymore for the Knicks. Right. So the Knicks really have no real point guard talent available to them that will actually be able to be the pass first guy and get things going. We saw how Julius Randle had a lot of trouble because no one could set him up closer to the basket, and instead he had to break people down on his own. And that gave them a lot of trouble against the Hawks.
Say it one more time.
I hate you. Okay, that gave them a lot of trouble against the Hawks. Be happy. Look, y'all should be happy with yourselves after this season. I ain't got no. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna let you have it. So I think they go Sharife Cooper. I think he's gonna be a fantastic addition to this New York Knicks team. And speaking of Atlanta, that puts us at Atlanta at 20.
My player wasn't sniped. This is beautiful. If you're Atlanta, you're in win now mode. You've made some moves. You've made the Eastern Conference Finals. In my opinion, you've got a loaded roster. And when I mean loaded, there are no real holes in terms of talent 1 through 10, if you think about it. Lou Williams coming back, being that secondary ball handler, second unit point guard. He may come back, but I can see Lou wanting to cash out and get his last big check. So I'm going to take the guy that was all Big Ten. I'm going to throw some stats at you because I think this is important. I believe he was 70 and 20, including 50 and maybe 8. Was the most outstanding player in the Final Four. Is a great on-ball defender. Perimeter shooting is outstanding, and he can handle the ball. Give me Jared Butler, guard from Baylor. That's who I want. That's who we want.
Okay, that actively sniped. That actively sniped my 21st pick.
Really? Oh, we're so sorry, New York. Did we bow on you again? Oh, we're so sorry.
Look, but I think that's okay because I think New York doubles down on guard play, which is why I thought Jared Butler would be the guy for them. I think they will actually pass on Josh Giddey a second time particularly because of questions about his defensive ability.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that's not how Tibbs wants to play basketball.
No,
he wants
not.
high motor players who are very great on defense, hustle players, which I think means that they take Jaden Springer from Tennessee with the 21st pick and kind of build a new backcourt for them.
I like that pick. I thought about him with the Hawks, but I took the player that I just honestly love in this draft. I think when you get a winner, you get a winner. But I look, I see some Kyle Lowry in the guy you just picked. I said it. I gave a compliment to you, Knicks fans.
Yeah,
I see it. All right. So who do we got next up? Oh, we got the Lakers.
22.
We got the Lakers, and we got two players that I think fit well with the Lakers, assuming they keep this pick. What's the one thing the Lakers need?
A point guard or shooting? Because they need both.
Both. They need both.
Yes.
And I think there is a player that fits the bill, and it gives them someone that can also defend a little bit. I'm going.
I guess
he's old. He's old by NBA rookie standards. He's also a dad. I'll give you those two.
Ooh, old by NBA rookie standards.
Mm-hmm. I believe he will be 24.
Like 24? Yes. Oh.
Or he will be 24. I'm not sure when his birthday is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I knew that he was about to be 24. Oh man, his name is escaping me so bad right now. But
Chris.
Oh man,
Chris. First name's Chris.
Is it Duarte?
You got it, from Oregon. You're sensing a theme here. I love the Oregon players. Let me just say that right now. So the reason why I like him with the Lakers, he sort of reminds me of that guy that can play point guard, but he shoots the three and he can defend like the other team's best guard or two guard. And he also gives them some length. He does all the things the Lakers need, and he's ready to play right now. You don't need him to develop. I was torn between him and Cameron Thomas from LSU.
Ooh, okay.
But I took the guy who's a little bit older, a little bit more mature.
Okay, that kind of fits the bill for what you want to understand the kind of motto for what the Lakers want. They probably would like a guy that's a little bit more mature, but man, a Houston at 23 is kind of an odd pick for me because I don't really know what direction Houston is going to go. It's clear like they are stuck with John Wall for quite some time. I don't even know if stuck is the right word, but like they got Kevin Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They got Christian Wood.
Yep.
So I think that they go for somebody that can play on the wing but be a spot up shooter and is going to be kind of seamless fit. Doesn't need a lot of the ball in his hand a bunch. And I think they go with Joshua Primo from Alabama.
Oh, so you're gonna make the Bama fans happen?
Yeah, okay. Really young guy. He shoots amazing from three and doesn't need the ball in his hands at all. So he's going to be really good playing off the other core players that they have around there, giving them some spacing that they could use a lot. And I think that helps them get back to what we understood Houston basketball to be. We shoot a lot of threes.
I don't love this fit, but I think the talent is too good to pass up. I'm going to put Josh Giddey at Houston. Okay. And I just think that I could see him going in the late lottery. So for him to be available in the mid-20s is a coup for Houston. And look here, Houston, you don't have a lot of talent, so you should take talent when it falls to you. Give me Josh Giddey. Okay.
I think that looks like a heavy steal for them, and I think the Clippers are kind of pissed that happened because there's one thing that they needed was some guy that can do what they expected Rondo to do when Rondo showed up. So at that point, it's interesting. I don't really know. I think the Clippers still probably want to go guard. I think that this low in the draft, they're kind of they're kind of just in a difficult spot. I think that they probably end up saying we'll take Trey Mann from Florida.
Yeah, I saw it coming. I feel bad about it, but I saw it coming.
I don't like it really, but I feel like all of the like really good playmakers in the draft are kind of gone. Unless you want to take like a Brandon Boston from Kentucky, but I don't like that.
Ooh, this is tough. I think Denver needs backcourt help, but I don't know if there's a backcourt player. Oh, wait, yes, there is. Cameron Thomas, absolutely.
Look at this guy. Look
shooting,
at this guy.
Can come on the court, maybe spell 15 minutes, get him a nice 10-piece, extra crispy with his jump shot. One of the best players in the SEC last year. I think that's a solid place for him to go. And Denver normally develops guys that they pick late in the draft to become pretty good. So I like him.
Okay, I think at that point I'm Brooklyn, and I think Brooklyn at this point needs size. We know they need size. I think that need is actually going to cause them to probably overdraft somebody here. And I think that guy is actually going to be. I'm going to say this. I don't like this because I feel like the better pick in this situation would be Charles Bassey, but he's only 6'9", and that doesn't solve really what they need. So they go with Day'Ron Sharpe from North Carolina, 6'11", almost 270. Big frame, is a great rebounder, has a lot of defensive presence, and is going to work his ass off on the defensive end. So I think that gives them kind of what they need the most, and they probably drafted him higher than most people expected him to be. But people are giving him like comparisons to like a Kendrick Perkins type. And I think that is essentially the biggest hole in the Brooklyn Nets offense.
We got Philly. Philly, we need to talk to you. We're going to talk about you in a minute, too, by the way. Philly. But I'm going to try to help you out. I'm going to try to, get you in the right direction. You need a point guard, Philly, because you might not have a point guard anymore. But I don't see a great fit for a point guard. So I'm going to take a swing on a guy that I think can score and handle the ball pretty well. Josh Christopher from Arizona State, I think might be the guy. I think might give them the ability to handle, the ability to play a little defense. He's 6'5". I really love those sort of guards that are a little bit longer than what their position requires them to be. But I'll take the swing on Josh Christopher. That's what I'm going to do. I didn't like the other option too much.
Interesting. So at this point, I feel like we are relatively low in the draft, and you kind of thinking who should be the guy. And I feel like it makes sense for Phoenix to get someone that's relatively big, but I think at this point, drafting another actual real center is probably low value. So they go with Zaire Williams from Stanford. Sure. He's 6'8", has almost a 7-foot wingspan. He can finish above the rim. He's a little small at this point in time to play the 4, but hopefully they could build out his frame. Is going to be more of a project. And I think that he fits maybe not their immediate needs, but he's probably a better long-term project for this team.
We're going to end the first round here. I think the player that I think that they should take, okay, is maybe a Mike Conley clone. And I'm going to say his name wrong, and I apologize. Ayo Dosunmu, AYODOSUNMU, point guard from Illinois. I thought this kid was great for Illinois last year. It gives them a sort of someone they can pass the baton to once Conley is gone, because Conley's 34, 35. And I think he gets to learn on the fly and play for a team that's sort of ready to compete. And I really like that kid. I had to find a way to get him in the first round. I thought this was a great place.
Okay, I like that. I like that kid. He's from Chicago, actually. He went to Morgan Park High School. Like, I had debate tournaments over there. Like, yeah.
I didn't mean to make you feel good. I apologize, everybody.
Well, I'm a fan. All right, that is our mock draft for the first round of the NBA draft. Let us know what you think. Are we sleeping on anybody? Did someone get greatly overdrafted? Hit us up, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at the Fly Route Pod. The Fly Route Pod. The Fly Route Pod. All right. Let's get into the fly route for today. Dame has been all the topic of conversation, from denied demand trade rumors, from saying that this Portland Trailblazers team needs to make a lot of changes for them to be competitive. And look, I'm not the only one. People are seeing the writing on the wall for Damian Lillard eventually leaving Portland, possibly sooner rather than later. So we want to get into the fly route for the best trade package for Damian Lillard. This is on both sides, both what the Portland Trailblazers are going to get back, but also the situation that Dame ends up going to. We feel like Portland isn't going to like screw him over and send him to purgatory. So based off that assumption, I'll let Erik go first. What is your fly route for Damian Lillard?
So LA's on the way. Lakers on the way. Sorry, shout out to Savvy. Baby. Yeah, baby. shout out to our boy Savvy right there. That love that. I got the Lakers sending everybody, including Snoop and Jack Nicklaus. No, I'm joking. You
ain't gonna take Kuzma plus picks?
I mean, the Lakers do think that Kuzma can get him. They think Kuzma can get them anyone and nothing at the same time. I've never seen a group of fans that are like, yo, I'll take Kuzma for a bag of Costco Cheez-Its. Like, what? And then they're like, man, I think we could trade Kyle Kuzma for John Collins. What? Sorry.
Kuzma KCP for Dave?
Sure. Court tie tickets and some Bitcoin. So I thought about this and we went through a list, and I think the best trade package, or the trade package I want to happen, is Dame going to New Orleans for Brandon Ingram and I've forgotten the big's name already.
Jackson Hayes.
Thank you. I think that's a fantastic swap. It gives Zion an elite player to play next to, which all superstars need, and someone that can shoot. Plus, they might lose Lonzo, so they're going to need a point guard.
Unless they let Lonzo go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. Ingram to Portland gives them an all-star, someone that can help with the scoring, that can score from the perimeter, plays, decent enough defense. And obviously Jackson Hayes gives them a big in the middle that can protect the rim. Two young players, building blocks they can have for the next few years. I couldn't really think, I can think of a more interesting one, but I don't know if it's better. But I think that's the best trade package for Dame outside of Kyle Kuzma and KCP.
And some picks. Don't forget the picks.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was Cheez-Its. I forgot. I don't know what else they're including. Sure.
Look, I don't mind that trade, actually. I think that is actually, especially if you're high on Brandon Ingram and think he's going to take another jump, which I think is a very, very reasonable opinion to have, that in the long term, that could end up being great for the Portland Trailblazers. Now, whether or not they can keep that talent long enough for that to actually go down is a different situation. Now, for me, however, and I think this is popular, people have talked about this one a lot, and when I was thinking about this for Ben Simmons, I didn't think it was all that great for Ben Simmons, but I think the fly route is a trade with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think the package ends up being Simmons, and then you try to give up Thibault or Maxey, but not both. Now, push comes to shove, if they ask for both and you say no, I think in 12 months, we'll be here again looking at you all Philly fans in the Philly front office the same way they were after the James Harden rumors, right? So I think you try to give up Maxey or Thibault. Preferably, you would give up Maxey in this situation, and I think that is actually something that Philly fans don't want to hear. But if you give up Ben Simmons and you get Dame back, you've created a huge defensive hole on your team that I think Thibault needs to step up and fill for you all to stay as competitive as you need to be. Now, if I'm Portland, I'm like, you sending me both Ben and Thibault. And the reason why that's fantastic for us is because Portland has been consistently one of the worst defensive teams in the league. I think they were 29th out of 30 this year, and like with the 5th best offense. Like that defensive side of the ball is what has consistently kept Portland from being able to take the next step. And I think Ben Simmons is a great addition because he's all NBA defense. That is one of the best lockdown defenders in the league. 1 through 4 is on your team. If you also get someone like Thibault that increases the style of defense you can play even more. I honestly think that it fixes the biggest issue that the Portland Trailblazers have as a team structurally. And it also then gives, look, Philly has to feel like they're getting a steal. They have to feel like they're getting a steal, putting Dame next to Joel Embiid, which opens up that championship window for them to be now. To be absolutely now. And it's probably more in the same timeline for Embiid's career playing with Dame at this point because Embiid keeps getting broken down over and over again, more injuries. It doesn't seem like, I hope he has a very long career that is very productive, but it's not what we're looking at currently. And Dame is on the other side of 30, so.
Do you want me to say something? I don't know if you
want to go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
Listen, Ben, we love you here in Atlanta. We really do. Lemon pepper Lou on us. I'm just saying. Look, the reason the Simmons trade makes sense is if you think Simmons can do something more than what he is. The last thing we remember Ben Simmons doing is literally being afraid to dunk a basketball out of fear of being fouled. He then passed that ball to Thibault, who you said you wanted in the draft, who then missed one of the 2 free throws, which Joel Embiid said, and I quote, that was the momentum changer in the game. Okay, I understand
put that on Thibault.
I did. I said what I said.
No, that's bullshit. He passed it to Thibault, who had 2 dudes on him.
He missed a free throw. Never mind. I'm moving on. I'm sorry. Right. That's still one more free throw made than Ben Simmons made. Anyway, the reason that if I'm Portland, I want Maxey and not Thibault because there's some redundancy with sort of Thibault and Ben Simmons because I think they're similarly the same player, except for Ben is obviously bigger and can maybe get to the rim if he wants to get to the rim.
When he decides this time?
Sure, whenever that is. I actually like Ben Simmons, and I think that the hate on Ben Simmons went a little bit too far, and I think no one's giving credit to sort of what Atlanta did to put him in that situation, but he got put in that situation. I think if I'm Portland, that's interesting. You would think that Simmons is the best player out of our packages, right? Is that fair? Would you think? You don't think Ingram's better than Simmons, do you?
It depends on what you value, defense or offense, because Ingram is a world's better offensive player than
that's
currently.
Yeah,
Ingram can drop 40 from the outside.
Sure. He can get buckets when he wants to.
Yes, he can.
And I think that's like my biggest problem with the Simmons trade is it puts too much offense on CJ McCollum. And I'm not saying that CJ McCollum can't come out and get you 30, but you're asking him to come out and get you maybe 40 on a night and then hit a 40-foot three-pointer like Dame did. And if he scores like 30 and doesn't hit that 40-footer, then people don't get mad because you know how NBA fans are, they're irrational. So I wouldn't want to put all that offense on him if I'm Portland. I understand you don't want Dame in the same conference, but I think it's a better package to get Ingram and a big that can defend the paint. But, you know, name value still matters. If you think Ben Simmons is one of the top 15 players in this draft, go with God.
Yeah, the Ben Simmons thing is also just like their hope. And you know, anybody that tries to trade for Ben is going to hope that they can fix Ben, right? And Portland might be a great place to fix Ben. Like, almost none of your games would be on national TV because everyone there were good. With Damian Lillard doing MVP like these, they got no national TV coverage. The Portland fans seem to be pretty chill. Like, it's the opposite of Philly, so that might actually end up working kind of well for Ben Simmons in the long term when it comes to like improving and getting to the next level, both as like a shooter, a scorer, being more aggressive, etc. And I will just say, if we're projecting potential, it's kind of hard not to take Ben. If you think Ben just won't get better because he won't work at it, which, have we had this conversation about how the Brett Brown staff was just like, Joel Embiid being fat and Ben Simmons being lazy is going to get us fired? That's back when Joe was eating cheeseburgers watching anime before games on the court.
Look, all I can hear in my head right now is the dudes over there at Supreme Dreams when they were imitating Doc Rivers, and he just asked them, like, what are you afraid of, Ben Simmons? Is it Trae Young? Who scared you on the Atlanta Hawks, right? And so I feel like for the coaching staff of Philadelphia, they've got to get rid of one, and obviously the one you got to get rid of is Ben Simmons. I understand it. If you think Ben Simmons is a top 15 talent, sure, knock yourself out. I think Ingram can be defensive, but man, he can get you a bucket. And sometimes you just need to get a bucket sometimes.
But it makes sense.
Ask the Lakers if they rather have Ingram or Kuz right now.
I mean, look, I don't think that was an option. I don't think they were like, we want Kuz. Like that.
Oh my God.
Dallas Tony Playboy.
Okay, let's get into our predictions for the NFC South. As always, now I'm trying to bring a fan of a team in the division. Oh, look at him walking away. So, you know, that means it's a great place to start at. Let's start with the Falcons, buddy. How are you feeling about this season? I mean, look, you got Kyle Pitts. That's great. They traded Julio Jones and went from probably one of the best wide receiving units possible to, I'm not really sure what you want to call that.
You know, I had a dream during the fourth pick of the NFL draft that Kyle Pitts and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley would give me hope of getting to the NFL playoffs. And, you know, last I heard, because I've been focused on the Atlanta Hawks, I don't know if you know the Atlanta Hawks got to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I haven't really heard anything going on with the Atlanta Falcons. So, I mean, I think we're good. Did I miss anything important?
I mean, besides Bingo?
No, we don't want to talk about him. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'm going to give you what I feel like the energy is around the Atlanta Falcons for fans. And I think we're very confused. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty. I think you look at Kyle Pitts and you see a monster in the waiting. And I think that if he has a season where he's 700 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns, people are going to think it's a failure. Because I think that they are going to demand Julio Jones type numbers from him. And he's not going to do Julio Jones things. That's not what he's built to do. At least not maybe in the first year. You don't want to put those expectations on him. I'm going to say something very controversial, and I know Falcon fans are going to flip out, and I'm really sorry. Y'all, we're not going to draft a quarterback. we were not going to trade Matt Ryan. I know these are things you do not want to hear, but I'm here to tell you the truth. You know why you weren't going to trade Matt Ryan? Because no one wanted Matt Ryan. So since no one wanted Matt Ryan, we could have either ate all the cap, or we could restructure him and create some cap space. I don't know what they have on defense. I love Dean Pease. I love their coaching staff, right? We love Grady Jarrett. And I think, last year they were not terrible against the run, and they had some moments. But, we're living in the fog of there's no Julio Jones. My mom was a diehard Julio Jones fan. I have a special sort of urn. My mom passed away, and her Julio Jones jersey lays right next to her. And it's hard to envision what the Falcons are in a world of no Julio Jones. But the entire NFC South is just in a complete state of uncertainty, to be honest with you. I mean, we can talk about the Saints, we can talk about the Panthers, but I'll pose this question to you. At the end of the Super Bowl, if I told you the Tampa Bay Bucks came back with every starter that they had, the Falcons got rid of Julio Jones, the Saints lost Drew Brees, and the Carolina Panthers brought in Sam Darnold, do you really think any of those teams are messing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No. Okay. No. Okay, I'm with you. I had the Falcons probably going 6-11. And that's a little harsh. I mean, look, there's a possibility of 7 wins. I felt like you all would beat the Eagles, the Jets, the Jags, the Lions, and split with the Panthers. And that would put you all at about 6
man.
wins.
We could wait. That's got to be. Come on, we got to get at least 8. That's not right.
Are you trying to see your schedule?
I am trying to see my schedule because I'm in pain right now. So give me a moment.
I can put your schedule on the screen.
No. Why you got to bring up old stuff? Just let me do it my way.
I can put your schedule on the screen, sir.
No, we good. Are
you sure? Are you sure?
I'm good. Yeah,
Are you sure?
Well, hold on. I'm doing math with me. Okay, that's one. That's an L.
Sir.
2 wins. That's an L. 3 L. 6. Oh, we gonna win 6 games. Oh man! We gonna win 6.
For all of our video listeners or viewers on YouTube, I put up the Falcons schedule as he went through it and figured out that 6 wins is actually a pretty, it's not a mean prediction. So then I give you, would you take the over or under on 6.5, Eric?
So these are not, tips for you to be gambling. These are for fun. I am not telling you what you should or should not do. I will just say that there's a person I know named Derek who, after the NFL draft, took the over on 7.5. And then when the Julio Jones trade, in order to compensate for that, Derek took the under on 6.5. So do it that way as you may.
Did Derek bet both sides of the Falcons spread?
Derek panic bet and took the under, which, sometimes you just got to break even. Sometimes you got to break even with Vegas. Sometimes Vegas give it, sometimes Vegas take it away. So that's what it is. Look, I think that if you're an optimistic Falcons fan, here's the optimistic scenario. New coaching staff, new energy. There are players on the defensive side of the ball that are better than you think. Better O-line play, better balance on in the game. The one thing that people have to understand is the hatred for teams in the NFC South run deep. And it doesn't matter how talented you think you are. Go back and look at the Buccaneers games the Falcons played, and they sort of gave them hell. Look at the fact that they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. I think that there is a pathway that Atlanta gets to 9. And that pathway is the coaching staff. Because remember, the Atlanta Falcons had a run differential or point differential that was reminiscent of a team that was 7-9. last year, or 8-8. I can't remember the exact number. If they get a little bit better on regression and they close out games that they win, like remember they were beating the Bucs down late in the season, and all of a sudden Tampa Bay had to come back. I think Matt Ryan threw for like 250 and 3 touchdowns. Then there's a pathway that maybe they beat the Saints one time because their quarterback situation is very, very suspect.
Maybe that puts you at 7.
Yeah, maybe they beat like the Redskins because their quarterback situation is skeptical. Although the Redskins have a phenomenal defense.
Yeah, I think they're going to crush you all.
No, because in order for us to get crushed, you got to have an offense that I think can do
that
more than sort of like short pass game.
Underrated. That offense is underrated. They have Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. Like maybe look.
Yeah, great. Those are all great. Those are all great players in like the 8th and 9th round of your fantasy draft, I guess. But their quarterback is who?
Fitzmagic.
Who's their quarterback before that? Oh, we can't talk about him because of what just happened. My apologies. We'll move on. Anyway.
Okay. All I'm saying is week 4, that's prime Fitzmagic time until you get to like week 6, 7. Then it becomes Fitzmagic. Week 4 is prime Fitzmagic time.
I think that there's a scenario in which if you told me the Falcons beat the Giants, Redskins, who did I say? Giants and split with the Saints. That's 3 extra wins. It's feasible. It's plausible. It's not likely. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm not even betting in like the Falcons go, what is it? 9-8. But I could see the scenario where it happens. And it has more to do with how teams get up and play for their own division. Tampa's going to get everyone's best shot, and they're uber talented in that division. But if you got to have quarterback play in this NFL, and there's a lot of teams that got shaky quarterback play. Like if Jameis Winston is just like, meh, or God forbid they start the tight end at quarterback, then you know what I'm saying? Like those are different situations. But I think we don't know what Atlanta is, and then we're going to look back like after week 4 and go either, wow, their defense has shown us something we can't see, or, oh my God, the Kyle Pitts thing is phenomenal. Or after 4 games, they're 1-3 and it's bring on the tank.
Okay. That puts us at the Saints. And I think the Saints are interesting because for the longest, you kind of felt like the Saints were like a almost 10-win floor, right? And I think that is you're a hater. I get it. NFC South. But I am of the mind at this point that the Saints are actually probably going to go 9-8. And I think that is a good 9-8. Look, I think they'll beat the Packers week 1. They'll beat the Giants, the Washington football team, the Falcons twice. They'll split with the Panthers, beat the Jets, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. And it's interesting because that means they take losses to the Bucs, obviously twice. I think that's a pretty safe bet. 1 to the Panthers. I think they'll lose to the Seattle Seahawks and the Bills and the Dolphins. And the Dolphins is the interesting one because they get a short turnaround. They get Sunday night football, Monday night football against the Bucs and Dolphins back to back. That is going to be a gulag. And I think that is the area where they'll take an unexpected loss to a team that they should probably be better than because of the short turnaround. And that puts them at 9-8 instead of a 10-7 record.
I can't take the over because I don't think 10 wins. So I guess I got to take the under, but it's like, I guess, a push. So
you push it 9.5?
Honestly, I could see them losing the game to the Falcons. I could see them losing to the Panthers. Just like the way the division works. Like
so every year, them going 7.
It's plausible.
And 9. Oh, okay.
Well, 7 and 10. Right?
7 and 10. Thank you.
Like teams in that team, like number 1, the Saints lost a really key defensive tackle. That's super important for their defensive pressure up front. That means those first 6 games, they're without that player. So, like, you may see a game they lose in that first 6 that you thought they should have won. Until I know who their quarterback is, it's hard for me to say 10. I will feel better about Jameis and Saints at 10. I'm sorry, I called them the Saints. The Aints at 10 if they had Jameis. But, like, Michael Thomas, that friction, what is that going to be like? Alvin Kamara. After those 2 on terms of the offense, they've got a great offensive line. Don't get me wrong. They do have a great offensive line. But like, who's the second wide receiver? What if Alvin Kamara gets hurt, like, and misses a couple of games? Like, the depth that they have on offense, I don't think is as great as you might think. And I could see them sort of slipping, especially early out the gate, struggling a little bit. I think, it's not a guarantee they're going to have a winning record.
Okay. That brings us down to the team that I'm pretty sure we can both guarantee will have a winning record, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What? And you just said the Carolina Panthers? I'm shocked.
Look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are interesting insofar as I have them going 13-4.
Whatever.
And I feel like the 4 games they lose are going to be like to the Patriots. I actually think Tom is going to go into the Patriots, into Foxborough, and he's going to take an L. I think Bill is going to be. They got to be salivating for this game. Salivating.
You think Tampa loses to the Patriots?
I think it is. I think Bill has been waiting for this. And I think that. What's up?
No, go ahead. I think you're going to be surprised at what I think they're going to do.
Okay. I think they'll also lose to the Colts, the Bills, and the Bears. And I feel like the Bears is just kind of one of those. They lost to the Bears last year, dude. That's the weird thing. Like, the Bears are just kind of one of those teams that, okay, what's up?
Everybody needs to know that there is a diehard Chicago Bears fan on this podcast, and he's just like, oh, yeah, my Chicago Bears has fields, and we're never mind, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. I honestly, at week 7, I preferably Andy Dalton would still be the quarterback at that time, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not one of those Bear fans that are just like, oh, start Justin Fields week 1, let's get it going. But like, I get it, but I actually think that, like, a fluky loss. There's usually those extremely good teams take a fluky loss here or there that they should not lose, and that they came into the game knowing that they should not lose. And I think that's going to be the Bears' loss for them. It's going to be that game where you're like, how the hell did we lose to these guys at home?
Are you ready for my prediction?
Yes, indeed.
Are you ready for the hot take?
Hot take. Are you going to say 17-0?
Undefeated.
Hot take.
Undefeated.
Hot take.
I'm going to tell you why. All of their hardest games are at home. The Rams just lost their starting running back. That's huge. They needed Akers for that kind of a game. Are the Dolphins ready for prime time? I think that defense is, but I don't know about that offense. I think they destroy the Patriots. I think Tom walks in there and hangs 40, and they put boot to you-know-what, right? I think they'll handle the same. Here's the tough matchup for me. I don't know what week this is, but Bucks at Colts.
That's the game, right? Week 12. Week 12.
That's the game. Not because I think Carson Wentz is legit, but that's a complete team on the road, an excellent defense, can hold them in check. I could see, look, they may have the division damn near wrapped up by week 12, week 13, and they may be just ready to coast and get that 1 seed. Okay,
almost definitively.
So I can see
only one bye, so they probably keep playing.
Right. But yeah, that's fair. That's why they're the only folks in that one bye. But after the Colts, it's home. This road Falcons, home Bills, home Saints, road Panthers, road Jets, home Panthers. I mean, how much more of a cushy schedule do you want? Look, Tampa, if you don't win every game and win the Super Bowl, you're choked. I said it. You're going 17-0, and then how many other games you need to win the Super Bowl? They'll probably play the Chiefs again and then lose to the Chiefs again. But
Tom Brady said he'd trade 2 rings for a perfect season.
I think they go for the perfect season.
Okay.
I just minus a substantial injury, and I think that substantial injury comes to Tom Brady. There's not a team that can beat them in the NFC anymore. Or at least on that schedule. Or on that schedule. I don't see a loss.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Okay, I could see it. So you would take the over on 13.5.
I think the money on the over, and I haven't looked, you can tell me, but I think, Derek would look at the money on the over and think that that's an interesting bet. Let's say that.
Okay, that leads us to the last team in the division, the Carolina Panthers. I think this team is much improved, but they still have a ways to go. I have them going 8-9, and I think that is pretty good. I think that they got better in a lot of places. Their wide receiving core is significantly strong. They should be significantly better if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy. And I'm not out on Sam Darnold. They have a lot of young defensive pieces from 2 drafts ago when they went all defense that should hopefully mature and become like stalwarts in the NFL. But I think that they will beat the Jets, the Saints once, the Texans, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Falcons, the Cardinals, and the Dolphins. That means 2 losses to the Bucs. Okay,
yeah.
What's up?
Sorry. My bad.
That's 2 losses to the Bucs, 1 to the Saints, 1 to the Bills, 1 to the Falcons, 1 to the Patriots, Cowboys, Giants, and Washington football team.
I can see them getting 8. I'd probably take the under. I think they're a year away. They've got to get used to playing. Darnold has to show me he can be healthy. I don't have a talent. It's not a talent issue with Darnold. It's just, can you not go down for 5-6 weeks? Christian McCaffrey is a monster. I think we all know this. Their offensive line is shaky, and generally speaking, when your O-line is a little shaky, it's difficult for me to think you can come close to a winning season, and 8 wins is close to a winning season. I think their defense is maybe a year away, but I think it's on the come. I think it's on the come up, and I think they're gonna like give some teams hell. They just don't have that experience yet to be able to do it. If you told me the Panthers next year were 11-5, I wouldn't, or 11-6, I wouldn't be shocked. Okay. Because I think they've got a lot of young talent, and they're a few pieces away. But I don't want to. The over is a winning season for them, and I just can't see it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm actually really high on the Panthers this year. Like, I feel like the division is soft. It's the softest it's really been in a while, right? Like, the Saints are at their low point. The Bucs are fantastic, but outside of that, like, really, what is it? So I'm interested to see what ends up happening. This is going to be kind of a referendum year on Sam Darnold, for sure.
Yeah, he's playing for his future as a starting cornerback in the NFL.
What's up, Playboy?
Welcome to the final segment of our show, the heart of our show, Ballers Bouquets. Too often in the media, people only want to focus on the negative and salacious things athletes do and never want to give them their credit where credit is due. Here, we like to make a change. And this week's Ballers Bouquet recipient is someone that has definitely gotten a lot of coverage for the more salacious things in their past, especially leading up to this year's draft. This week's Ballers Bouquet goes to Dallas Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons. Now, Micah Parsons, 2021 first-round draft pick from Penn State for the Cowboys, recently inked a $17 million guaranteed 4-year rookie deal. And the first thing that he did with this deal was, of course, buy his mother a home. And we all know, we've heard the stories over and over again of these professional athletes, and many of them grew up in single-parent households. Many of them watch their parents or their mother struggle to make ends meet and give them all the opportunities that they can have to reach where they do in life. And it's very important for Micah Parsons, who actively saw these struggles and motivated him to take that step forward and keep working on his game to get to where he did today. Now, prior to his pre-draft conversations, he had an interview, and in that interview, he said the first thing that he wanted to do was finally get my own house, clear my mom's debt. We moved around a lot when I was younger, so my mom could put me in the position that we needed to be in. So I want to be able to put my mother into our own home and have something to call ours. It would be amazing. And just a couple months post the draft, he did exactly just that. He posted videos on Instagram showing this massive, beautiful house in the Dallas area. And as the person that's in the Dallas area, I can let you know housing prices are aggressive. And he gave her the home. We saw her elation, saw how beautiful the home was. And it's important to highlight these stories because not all acts of giving are charitable to strangers, but still should get the attention and flowers while these athletes are still here. All right. Look, that was it for episode 44 of the Fly Route podcast. As always, we appreciate each and every single one of you for rocking with us and listening, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Audia, Podcruncher. We see you all listening on whatever platform that you're using, and we love your engagement. As always, let us know what you think. You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at the Fly Route Pod or Facebook.com/the Fly Route Pod, or even just send us some of the questions that you all have that you would like us to delve into on the show, the Fly Route Pod at gmail.com. And I cannot wait to give you all another episode next week.